In today's video, we're continuing and finishing up with the Mage's Guild questline in the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Across the previous videos, we received a recommendation from all 7 of the guild halls across Cyrodiil. After accessing the Arcane University, we began to receive tasks from Raminus Polus, a master wizard in the guild, and together, we discovered a growing cult of necromancers called the Order of the Black Worm. Eventually, we were asked to speak directly with the Archmage of the guild, Hannibal Travin. Together, we learned more about Black Soul Gems, as well as discovered that the leader of the Necromancer cult is none other than the ancient and evil wizard himself, Mannimarco. The Necromancers grew in strength, and with it, their boldness. They attacked and killed almost every single mage at the Bruma Mages Guild Hall. The guild is in disarray, and that's where we last left off. We returned back to Archmage Hannibal Travin to see about more tasks.
Before we continue, you should speak to Raminus Polus about your advancement within the guild.
We go to the Archmage's lobby to seek out Raminus Polus for our advancement.
Good day. Truly, you are an asset to the guild. I reward you with the rank of wizard and teach you a most powerful spell.
With that out of the way, we can now proceed with Travin.
At the worst possible time, the council is in ruins. A course of action could not be agreed upon. Some felt that we are in danger of being exterminated and that it is time to fight back. Others felt it appropriate to fight fire with fire, as it were. The council has shattered and artifacts have been lost. The necromancer's amulet and the bloodworm helm have been taken. A group of mages led by Erlav Jarol took the helm and have retreated to Fort Telemann in an effort to study it further. They hope to learn enough from it to find some way to fight Mannimarco. I tried to dissuade them, but it was no use. I would like the helm returned so that it may be kept safe here in the university. I fear Erlav has made himself a target for the necromancers. Karanya insisted on removing it from the university. She said it posed a threat to the safety of the imperial city. While I do not doubt that she was right, I question whether her motives were genuine. She seemed all too eager to explore its power. I fear she is not safe from the minions of the King of Worms. She is at Fort Ontus. Please go there and return with the amulet. Help her to see that she should not use the weapons of the enemy, especially out of fear. It was last seen in the possession of Erlav Jarol. He was taking it to Fort Telemann. I can only assume he is still there. Please, return the helm here before any harm comes to it, or those who are using it.
We received 2 quests from Travin. The first one is to retrieve the bloodworm helm from Erlav Jarol at Fort Telemann. The second one is to retrieve the necromancer's amulet from Karanya at Fort Ontus. We'll go ahead and begin with retrieving the helmet. After exiting the lobby, we look at our map and see where Fort Telemann is located. It's in the southeastern portion of the province in County Leyawiin. The closest site to the fort that we discovered is actually the Ayleid ruin, Adatar, where we hunted down Azani Blackheart for the Fighters Guild. Traveling to the ruin, we hop on our horse and set course for Fort Telemann. Arriving at the fort, we're immediately met with necromancer resistance outside of the ruins. This is a bad sign, as Erlav Jarol is supposed to be guarding a very important artifact just through the doors inside. Entering inside, we receive a quest update expressing the urgency in finding Jarol. Fort Telemann has 2 zones to it. The first zone, simply titled Fort Telemann, is a fairly linear area that consists of 3 rooms and a few lengthy passageways. We're likely to face 4 to 6 necromancers in this area, along with a boss-level necromancer just before the door to the second zone. With the necromancers, they're either the easiest enemies to face, charging head-on into battle, or they're the most irritating, running away after conjuring an undead to aid them. The second zone is called Fort Telemann, Order of the Black Rose. Similar to the last zone, it consists of mostly smaller passageways with only a few wider rooms. We actually walk into the midst of a battle between necromancers and Daedra. There are 3 necromancers in this zone and approximately 7 to 8 Daedric enemies. We ended up facing Clanfears, Flame Atronachs, and Scamps. Taking the pathway all the way to the end, we end up in a dead-end room with the body of Erlav Jarol lying lifeless on the ground. Guarding his body is actually a frost atronach, which is considered to be the boss level Daedra. We managed to kill it pretty easily by using Sinweaver, our fire enchanted elven claymore. Looting Jarrell's body, we see that he still has the bloodworm helm on his person. Looting it, we receive a quest update that we should bring it back to Traven. The quest item is a light armor helmet that fortifies conjuration for 6 points on self. I imagine that lore-wise, if Mannimarco got his hands on it, he would use it to offensively conjure stronger creatures in hopes of moving against other guild halls or even the Arcane University. We leave Fort Telemann through a side passage that was previously unattainable to get to. It brings us back to the main room where we can exit the fort and fast travel back to the Arcane University. Once back on friendly territory, we seek out Traven to give him the helm and inform him on Erlov Jarrell.
Have you recovered either the bloodworm helm or the necromancer's amulet? Erlav is dead. I tried to warn him. I tried to tell him it was a mistake to leave with the helm. I shall return the helm to a secure place in the tower. It's the least I can do for Erlav. Thank you.
Now it's time to go ahead and retrieve the Necromancer's amulet from Karanya at Fort Ontis. Traven believes that she made off and went into hiding with it in order to ensure it stays out of the hands of necromancers. Exiting the Archmage's lobby, we look at our map and see that Fort Ontis is located in the Imperial Reserve just near the Colovian Highlands in the western part of the province. The closest location to the fort that we've discovered is the Shrine of Sanguine. So, we fast travel there, hop on our horse, and set course for Fort Ontis. Along the way, we ride past a bandit camp and encounter a large timber wolf. Eventually, through some pretty hardcore scaling, we find ourselves at the entrance to the fort. The good news is that this time there are no necromancers guarding the entrance, meaning they must have not figured out Karanya's location yet. We receive a quest update expressing urgency in locating and retrieving the necromancer's amulet. Upon entering inside, we quickly come across a friendly mage who appears to be a part of the Mages Guild. Speaking with her sounds like this.
You'd better talk to Karanya before you do anything else.
Speaking with Karanya seems to be an urgent matter. Making our way through the first zone of Fort Ontis, we come across multiple friendly mages. In fact, all of them say the same message, to speak with Karanya right away. We make our way to the second zone called Fort Ontis Understreets. Here, we see two more friendly mages standing in the passageways. Progressing further, we raise a portcullis and descend into a room that leads into a big open area where Karanya is located. It's here that something doesn't quite feel right, and when we look around the room, we actually notice necromancer banners, along with zombified bodies and cauldrons full of human skulls. It's here we begin to speak with Karanya.
Well, this is quite a surprise. I thought you were Traven's lapdog, doing whatever he said. And yet, here you are. Good that you've finally seen the light. The cause will benefit from your assistance. What? You're here to take it back to Traven? Oh, my dear, I'm afraid you're in over your head. I don't answer to Traven. I heed only the word of Mannimarco. When he has the amulet, his power will be increased, and Traven will be helpless to stand in his way. You, I'm afraid, won't be standing at all. I promise I'll make this quick. I'd like to have you mostly intact, so Mannimarco can suck the marrow from your bones.
And just like that, it's revealed that Karanya is a traitor to the guild and has defected over to the Order of the Black Worm. She never intended on protecting the amulet, only to hand it over to the King of Worms himself. Karanya turns aggressive towards us, and the battle begins. She conjures a faded wraith and casts a spell on us that drains our strength, leaving us over-encumbered and vulnerable to every attack. The faded wraith deals heavy damage and has quite a lot of health. We pull out Sanguine Rose and cast it on the wraith, conjuring a scamp to help us defeat the duo. Eventually, the spells wear off and we're free to move again. Karanya is one of the annoying necromancers that I was talking about. She would cast spells, conjure the undead, and then quickly back up and run away. All the meanwhile, she would run into rooms where her fellow necromancers are located, and they would join the battle, leaving us to become overwhelmed. Our conjured scamp managed to take out one necromancer, and we slayed the other. We used Sanguine Rose on Karanya, spawning in a Frost Atronach. She used a Drain Strength spell again on us, and her Fated Wraith kept hitting us with ranged attacks. It quickly became do or die. We used a scroll to summon a Clanfear for extra help, and eventually, the 2 Daedra overpowered the traitor, and Karanya was defeated. We went up to the body and looted the Necromancer's amulet off of her. Returning back to the first zone, we encounter more Necromancers, whom of which are relatively easy to defeat. However, that being said, we actually did die once while fighting our way out of the fort. We aggroed too many Necromancers at once, and our gear was no longer enchanted, as well as on the verge of breaking. So, we ultimately fell to the enemy, even though we were merely steps away from exiting the fort. Running it back, we were more cautious and slow-rolled through the dungeon, trying our best to only take on one Necromancer at a time. Eventually, we defeated all of the traitors and were able to safely exit the fort. Once outside, we opened up the map and fast-traveled back to the Arcane University. We made our way to the Archmage to inform him of Karanya and to give him the Necromancer's amulet.
Have you recovered the Necromancer's amulet? Karanya turned on the guild? I don't understand. She was one of my most trusted advisors. The situation grows more dire with each passing day, it seems. I fear where this will end. The amulet is safe, however, and that must be enough for now. Thank you for returning it.
We go to the Chironasium and speak with Martina Floria in order to charge our enchanted weapons. Now, we can go back to the Archmage and ask about more tasks.
On you. Before we continue, you should speak to Raminus Polus about your advancement within the guild.
We go to the lobby where Raminus is found and ask about advancement.
Well met. I can truly consider you an equal, and so grant you the rank of Master Wizard. There is no higher rank which I can bestow upon you. You have my congratulations, and my thanks.
We're now Master Wizards in the Mages Guild. With our newfound rank, we speak again with Traven.
Time is against us, and our enemies grow stronger. There is much to do and little time in which to do it. Your next task is essential. Word has been sent that the Necromancers have been quite busy creating black soul gems for their master. In particular, a unique black soul gem has been crafted in the south of Cyrodiil in the ruins of Silorn. This gem needs to be confiscated and brought here before it can be delivered to the King of Worms and used against us. No, I have need of it. I believe it may be instrumental in saving our guild. I will explain once you have returned with it. Until then, discussion is useless. I've spoken with several individuals I cannot name at this time. Count Hasseldor has also provided valuable information, as you well know. A contingent of battle mages has been sent to the site. I would like you to oversee their actions on my behalf. The only thing that matters is that gem. Do you understand? Once you have it safely in your possession, return here immediately. Know that you have my complete confidence. I would not entrust this job to you if I did not feel you were prepared for it. Now go. You must make sure the gem does not reach Mannimarco. We are doomed if it does.
We're to head to the alien ruin of Silorn and retrieve a unique black soul gem from the Necromancers. Silorn is located in the west weald of the province, just southeast of Skingrad. We fast travel to Bloodcrust Cavern, the nearest location to Silorn that we have available to us. From here, we hop on our horse and ride a short distance southeast. Along the way, we're attacked by a Spriggan and its black bear. The Spriggan hits hard, but we hit harder. Eventually, we arrive at Silorn and come across a group of battle mages awkwardly standing around. We approach and speak to them.
You're here from the council, aren't you? Traven sent you? Just you? That helps the odds, but not much. We're still going to be outnumbered. Follow me. I'll show you what we're up against.
We follow Thalfin to the foot of the ruins to get a better look at what's going on here.
This is it. The entrance to Silorn is just ahead. You've been watching the site for a while and have tried to stay out of sight ever since the original plan was blown. We were supposed to storm the place and take this gem they're holding. Only we can't. There's some sort of enchantment on the door. That door's sealed. There's no way we're getting inside. So we'll have to wait for them to come out. Based on the activity I've seen, that should be very soon. What other choice did I have? We were too exposed standing around outside the door. I lost one of my men already, and I wasn't willing to lose more. Rawlus tried to make it through the door. He's the one that realized this wasn't going to work. One of their patrols spotted us, and Rawlus went down. So we're stuck. All we can do is wait for them to come out. Then they can't hide any more than we can, and it evens the odds quite a bit. All we can do is prepare for them to come out. Once they do, it'll be our best chance to get the drop on them. Of course, since we can't get inside, we don't know how strong their numbers are, or whether we really have a chance at this. Traven sent word that he wanted you in charge, so you've got it. You're in command. Tell us where you want us. If I may, I'd suggest that you put us in the best possible positions based on our abilities. But it's up to you. I have to admit, I'm better with an axe than I am with magic. I've been working on spellcasting, but I still feel better with a weapon in hand. There are 2 good locations to hide. One near here, and one closer to the door. Where do you want me to wait? Okay, I'll go over there now. Let me know when everyone is ready.
At your service. What do you need? I can manage with a weapon or with spells, but I've really been working on healing lately. I'm getting pretty good at it. Where should I wait? Up close or farther back? I'll try to help whomever I'm near. You've got it. I'll do my best to keep everyone healed.
I'm ready to fight. Where do you need me? Well, I excelled in my studies in magic, especially large-scale spells. I'm pretty accurate with them, too. More accurate than swinging a sword. Do you want me to stay back, or stay up nearer to the door? Right. I'm on my way.
After we assign everyone their roles and positions, we make our way back to the Vanguard and speak once more with Thalfin.
All right, I'm ready. Keep your eyes peeled. They could come out at any moment. And don't move until you have to. We don't want to lose our advantage.
Peeking around the corner, we can see a pair of necromancers pacing back and forth. After a little bit of time has passed, we see 2 more necromancers exit the ruin and join up with the others. All 4 of them are now headed directly to our hiding spot. Leading the pack is a face we haven't seen for a long time, the former Shadenhall Mages Guild leader, Falcar. The group nears our spot and the 3 of us jump out to attack in close quarters. Immediately, Falcar the traitor runs back into Silorn while the other 3 necromancers stay back and fight us off. They aren't difficult to fight, but the issue is with so many friendly NPCs around, it's hard to control where our swings go. I found myself accidentally stealing life from the battle mages far too many times for my liking. So, we went passive and let them take care of the rest. Once the fight was over, we spoke with Thalfin.
Get the gem! The leader probably had it. That high elf! Get it back to Traven immediately, or else this whole attack was a waste.
The chase is on. We quickly rush to the doors of Silorn and enter inside. Silorn contains 3 zones. The first of which, simply titled Silorn, contains 8 necromancers in total. Most of these necromancers were the ones to conjure an undead, and then rush into the next room in hopes of other necromancers aggroing onto us. There are a lot of passageways and doors located around this zone. Among those doorways, 2 of them lead into Zone 2, called Silorn Sedorcelli, and 2 of them lead into Zone 3, called Silorn Burocelli. For this quest, we only need to go to Silorn Burocelli, However, Sutterselly has a Varla stone if you're interested in grabbing it. Biroseli can only be accessed through the unguarded bridge in the biggest area of Silorn's first zone, as the other door is locked by a key. There are 2 gates controlled remotely that need to be lowered in order to cross the bridge. However, we cheesed it by jumping around the edges of both gates and onto the other side of the bridge. Once across, we entered through the door leading us into Silorn Biroseli. Here, we battled 2 more necromancers. Both were relatively easy to defeat with them charging at us head on. In the second room, there's a button that, when pressed, opens a casket to reveal a Varla stone. Now, it's time to face Falcar, as he is in the next room over. I was really hoping that there would be some dialogue, but unfortunately, there wasn't. Upon seeing us, Falcar turns aggressive and instantly begins attacking us. Falcar has a decent amount of health and can cast some decent destruction spells, but to be honest, he wasn't too difficult of a fight. He used an elven dagger and didn't conjure any creatures or undead to aid him. Relatively quickly, we were able to defeat Falcar in battle. Going up to him and looting his body, we see a key called Falcar's Key and also a strange stone called a Colossal Black Soul Gem. We take both, and now it's time to exit the ruins. The compass wants us to continue through Silorn Biroseli to leave, but we decided to leave the ruin through the way we came in. Truthfully, this was done to avoid any more conflict with the necromancers, plus we already knew the way out. Returning back to the first zone and then exiting the fort, we fast travel back to the Arcane University. We make our way to the Archmage's lobby, take the teleporters, and inform the Archmage of our findings.
Go, find Thalfin and the other battle mages. Stop the gem from reaching Mannimarco. Dedicated to the last. I cannot thank you enough for bringing the gem here. I have need of it immediately. We have much to speak of and very little time. A new task awaits you, and it is by far the most important you have been entrusted with.
It's here we return back to the Chironasium and the Slash and Smash one last time to charge our enchantments and to repair our damaged armor and swords. We then fast travel back to the Arcane University and speak one last time with the Archmage, Hannibal Traven.
I know what purpose this soul gem is meant to serve. It is meant to house my very own soul, to be absorbed by Mannimarco and increase his power. You were sent to acquire this gem so Mannimarco would not get his hands on it. With it, he would have marched on the university and come for me. There would have been little anyone could do to stop him. Now, however, I believe you have a chance to defeat him. When you are ready, I have a final task for you to undertake. It will, undoubtedly, be the most important service you perform for the Guild. Are you truly prepared for this task? I cannot be certain what awaits you, but I am sure we will not speak again after you begin. Then hear me, and hear me well. Mannimarco will have what he seeks, but it will be his undoing at your hands. With this gem in your possession, you will be impervious to his attempts to enthrall you. When he fails, that is when you shall strike. When we are done speaking, you will take this gem, you will then seek out Mannimarco and destroy him. Get to him any way you can. It is your only hope for defeating him. I have full confidence in you, and so I leave the Guild in your care. When I am gone, you will be recognized as Archmage and leader of the Guild. Lead your fellow mages and lead them well. The future rests on your shoulders. Farewell, my friend.
In an instant, Traven casts some form of destruction magic on his own being and dies. Doing so, he fills the Colossal Black Soul Gem, which allows us to get up close and personal with Mannimarco. As Traven said, he won't be able to do any magic that steals our soul or enthralls us. Looting Traven's body, he has a Staff of Ruin, Archmage's Robes, Archmage's Key, and the filled Colossal Black Soul Gem. We take what we need and exit the Archmage's Tower. As once mentioned before during the questline, Mannimarco is held up in Echo Cave, a natural cavern located west of Bruma. Peering at the map, our closest discovered location to it is a place called Boreal Stone Cave. We set a course for there and fast travel over. From here, We ride our horse up and down some steep hills until we're at the entrance of the cave. When we arrive, we're approached by an unfriendly face.
You would dare to approach the King of Worms? If you seek an audience with His Grace, you must open this door. I hold the key, and I will die defending it.
The necromancer, Bolor Savel, begins to attack us. He isn't a very difficult fight. A few heavy attacks with Sinweaver, and he was defeated. Searching through his body, he has the Echo Cave key on him, which we take to gain entrance inside. Upon entering, we receive a quest update saying it's time to find Mannimarco and put an end to him. There are 3 zones to Echo Cave. The first zone contains 7 necromancers and approximately 4 to 5 undead. Most of the undead we ended up facing were skeleton heroes, with a few of them being ancient ghosts. There are 5 rooms in this zone, and each room, barring the third, contains 2 enemies. Once we've made our way through the passageways and rooms, we find ourselves at a door that leads to the second zone, Echo Passages. I found a great strategy for maneuvering through these areas was to simply use the necromancer's own tactics against them. We pulled out our mage's staves and spam attacked until the enemy was defeated, backing up when we needed to. The staves actually did a fair bit of damage and had a decent charge to them. When the charges ran low, we would switch to a weapon with a soul trap enchantment, fill a soul gem, and charge our staves for more usage. The main downside to this, however, is that we don't increase any of our combat or magic skills by attacking with a staff. So, while we rolled through pretty easily, we were missing out on a lot of experience. The second zone, Echo Passages, contains 4 necromancers and 5 undead, so fairly similar to the last zone. This zone has 3 rooms, which are all accompanied by small narrow passageways. The first room contains 2 enemies. The second room is a gigantic winding canyon which sees us fighting off 4 enemies, all of which happen to be undead for us. And the third room contains 2 more enemies. From here, if we choose to travel downwards according to the local map, we would come across 1 more enemy, and would be at a door that leads back to Zone 1. By going through the left passageway of the local map, we come to a door that leads to the third zone, Echo Necromancer's Chamber. Entering into Echo Necromancer's Chamber, we're faced with either going right or left right off the bat. We chose to go left. This way, we come across a small room that contains a boss-level necromancer. We both were casting spells at one another via our staves, all the meanwhile, we had to avoid their conjuration of a headless zombie. They would run into the next zone, and I tried very hard to make sure that we contained our fight to this room. Eventually, we got in close and beat them down using Lifestealer. Now it's time for the big face-off. We enter into the next room to reveal a giant open area. There appears to be skeletal remains of something gigantic sticking out of the ground. There is a body of water flowing around the sunken areas of the raised islands. Looking across the way, we can see a ghost lingering on one of the islands, yet we choose to ignore it for now. Working our way up the middle through the connected landmasses, we lay eyes on the King of Worms. At this point, we decide to charge our staff one last time, as it hasn't let us down yet. We slowly approach Mannimarco, who is standing amongst zombified bodies, skulls, and necromancer banners, and we speak to him.
I see Bolor was unsuccessful in delaying you. Very well. I shall reanimate him once we are done here. Perhaps we shall chat for a while, since you really have no other options. I must say, I expected Archmage Traven, rather than his star pupil. I am disappointed to see that he could not face me himself. I have met so many of his predecessors over the years. I developed a particular fondness for Galerion, ill-preserved though he may be. But here you are instead, skilled enough to make it this far, which speaks volumes about you. Perhaps you'll be as useful to me as Traven would. Oh, my dear, I didn't mean to imply that you have a choice. I will make you another in a long tradition of worm thralls, and take my time in studying you. Your very soul will be forfeit to me. Power, my dear friend. I seek power. And so I acquire and study those who have some degree of it. We are after the same things, your guild and I. Yet you worry about good and evil, and do not accept they are manifestations of the same thing. So you brand me a villain and make vain attempts to destroy me. I watch and I wait, and I collect you when you come for me. Instead of drawing Traven out, I have received you instead. Perhaps I shall personally go and collect him when we are done here.
It's at this point that the final battle begins. To be completely honest with you, maybe it's because we were spam attacking with our mage's staff of shock, but this fight was rather not difficult. His main weapon was a silver dagger, which he decided to use instead of his spells. He did conjure an undead, and he did cast some form of destruction magic on us, but it wasn't enough to even get our health down to half. After a few shocks, Mannimarco, the King of Worms, was defeated. We received a quest update, and the massive bones which had trapped us before have retracted back into the ground. Looting Mannimarco's body, he has the Staff of Worms, which reanimates a dead target for 30 seconds to fight by our side. We also take his robes, as those might be fun to wander around in at the university. We loot the surrounding area and find some nice enchanted weapons as well as some potions. To exit the cave, we leave through the door connecting us back to Zone 2, the Echo Passages. From Zone 2, we can leave through the downwards path, which saw us fighting one more undead on the way out. We ascend up a ladder, and that brings us back to Zone 1. From here, we're actually in the upper levels of the canyon. We drop down, make our way through the tunnels, and we'll find ourselves back at the exit to Cyrodiil. From here, we open the map and fast travel back to the Arcane University. We can enter back into the Archmage's lobby, where Raminus Polus is waiting to speak with us.
Archmage, you have returned. Mannimarco has been defeated? I can hardly believe it. The King of Worms is no more. I received a note from Archmage Traven. I know what he did for us and that he selected you to take his place. I will mourn for him during my own private time. For now, I cannot help but rejoice. You have brought safety to the guild, and I thank you. I've already sent word to all the local guild halls that you are now in charge. Congratulations, Archmage.
From here, we're rewarded with the Archmage's robes and hood, and have officially completed the Mage's Guild questline in the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Before we talk about the Mage's Guild as a whole, and I give my thoughts on it, there's one more little mini-quest that we need to take care of. We quickly speak again to Raminus Polus.
It's my pleasure. Please, continue. As the Archmage, you are entitled to certain privileges. In addition to the full use of all guild facilities, there is one service available to you. Juliana Fanis has long served Archmage Traven in collecting alchemical ingredients for his personal research. As the new Archmage, I'm sure she'll extend the service to you as well. At your convenience, consult her at the Lustratorium.
From here, we make our way to the Lustratorium in the Arcane University and enter inside. We find Julianne Fanis standing at the back of the room and speak with her.
It's my pleasure. Please continue. Ah, yes. Archmage Traven was quite fond of making potions in his spare time. So much so, in fact, that it became difficult for me to meet his needs. I finally accommodated him by enchanting a very special chest for him. You'll find it in the Archmage's quarters. Once a week, place a single ingredient in the chest. After 24 hours, you'll find a sizable quantity of the ingredient available for use. Do be prompt in collecting them, however. Anything left in the chest for a full week will be destroyed. And before you ask, yes, this only works with ingredients. Be very careful in what you place in that chest. I can't be held responsible.
Thus ends the quest, Alchemy Acquisitions. It seems like every faction has a way to either make money or gain some form of passive income once you've completed all of the quests, and for the Mages Guild, we can have a never-ending supply of alchemy ingredients. So, let's talk about the Mages Guild. Here's what I liked about it. I enjoyed the recommendation quests. Again, I can't believe I'm saying it, but if you go back to one of my older videos where I discuss annoying quests in Oblivion, I actually have the recommendations on that list. I truly would go back and remove them from that catalog. The recommendations are an amazing introductory to the guild halls, and as pointed out by a commenter, it really feels like an appropriate way to be inducted into the guild, as it feels like we have to work for it. I really enjoyed both quests that involved Count Janus Hasseldor. Ulterior Motives, while predictable, was still fun to play along with and get caught up in the twist and ambush from the necromancers. Information at a Price, in my opinion, was done very well. It was really interesting to have to simultaneously run both vampires and vampire hunters out of County Skingrad. Not to mention, we got to make our own choices which would have altered how the quest is done, which is always a plus in my book. A Plot Revealed was definitely one of the best quests in the entire questline. Seeing the decimation of the Bruma Mages Guild and the dead bodies of our fallen guildmates was such a shock and demonstrated the overall power of the Order of the Black Worm. I also really enjoyed how our character didn't need to fill in any specific archetype or role. We could just play with the build that was intended for our character, and we didn't have to adjust our playstyle at all to what we were dealing with. We didn't have to be a mage or battle mage in order to complete this questline. Now, let's talk about what I didn't like. One of the things that I thought the Fighters Guild did right was to scatter in plot points regarding the Blackwood Company throughout the questline. And at the same time, most of our quests were about our respective duties and tasks as members of the Fighters Guild. We actually served a purpose from within the faction. At the Mages Guild, I don't really know what purpose we were supposed to serve. The recommendations had us mostly doing personal errands for the hall leaders, and almost all of the university quests had us learning about the necromancers. The only quest that really felt like we were doing something to aid the guild in research was Vatican's Secret, and even then, we gave the helmet over to Erlov Giral, and we never heard anything about it again. To sum up these points, I wish our role in the guild was more defined than an errand runner. I wish there were more quests that didn't deal with the necromancers, although I'm fairly certain that's what the recommendations were for, so I won't be too harsh with that. And I wish we could have had some follow-up on some of the earlier quests we did, like Vatican's Secret and the Leowin or Coral recommendation quests. I also understand that the Mages Guild is a place to learn and study the arcane arts, and less so a job or career like the Fighters Guild or Arena is. So maybe some slack can be cut when it comes to not having a clearly defined role in the faction. Another complaint I have is similar to a complaint I had for the Fighters Guild. I'd like to see the big bad antagonist of the opposing faction more than once. Just like how we only saw the leader of the Blackwood Company during the final quest of the Fighters Guild, we only see Mannimarco during the final quest of the Mages Guild. For me, it would have made our meeting a lot more personal and intense if we had at least gotten to run into Mannimarco and spoke with him once before the quest Confront the King. At least we actually get to speak with Mannimarco, as we didn't even get to interact at all with Rizikar during the Fighters Guild, other than to fight him. Overall, I enjoyed the Mages Guild questline. I think the Fighters Guild had a more fleshed out story, but I think the Mages Guild had a better antagonist faction. The Necromancers posed a way greater threat to Cyrodiil than the Blackwood Company did, although that's likely debatable given they were slaughtering innocent people during simple contracts. I hope you enjoyed how these videos were done. Instead of shortening an entire faction's questline into an hour, like we did with the Fighters Guild, or making a long detailed video outright, I broke down the Mages Guild questline into 4 videos, and then the plan is to splice them together to create one long complete video for your uninterrupted enjoyment. If you made it this far, and liked the way I formatted the Mages Guild questline, let me know down below. Until next time, keep on adventuring.